Welcome to another edition of Laugh, Lend and Eat the podcast with your host Fabi Nagmi. Fabi is the National Sales Manager for First Auction Mortgage, as well as a writer for several mortgage magazines. With this hot real estate market nationwide, we decided to create a roundtable of real estate agents to answer some of the most pressing questions everyone is asking. While some of the answers were expected, some of the information we found was, well, what can I say? Surprising? So sit back, enjoy, and get ready to learn a lot on this episode.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Laugh, Lend, and Eat the podcast. And we have set up quite a panel today for everybody. So I hope you guys have some time to sit back, enjoy the show, and obviously take the information that we're going to share today, because this is the first time that we're doing a Realtor Roundtable. And we're going to be discussing a lot of the hot topics that any buyer is out there dealing with. Any mortgage loan officer may want to get some insight on what goes on inside their realtor's mind. This might be a really good episode to tune in on. I can't guarantee you that we'll get deep inside their minds, but we'll figure it out one second at a time. So let me just go around the horn and introduce everybody that we see on here. We have, first and foremost, we have Ryan Keaton of eXp Realty from Ashland, Kentucky. How you doing, Ryan?
Hello.
We got Laura Delgado from Realty Professionals of Atlanta, Georgia. Laura, how are you? We have Gloria Zelaya of eHomes from all the way from Los Angeles, California. So I know you're 3 hours behind us, but thank you so much. And then from my hometown, we have Chris Cummings of Washington, D.C. of Keller Williams. So Chris, I know it didn't take you long to get out here, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So guys, I know this is a roundtable discussion, and you know, just for the sake of this meeting or this episode, I want to make sure that we all understand that this is a conversation. We're not going to get into any kind of specifics or details where you got to open up your book and look into any kind of legal stuff. So, you know, we'll try to stay out of the legal realm of the real estate industry for right now. Look, I mean, right now we are dealing with a couple of different things. So first and foremost, right, we have the COVID pandemic, which hit a year ago, right? We marked the 12-month anniversary, I think, next week. You got amazing inventory crunching going on. So there's really, just like we were talking about before the show, like really no inventory, 2 houses or something left in the market. And at the same time, you have a rising interest rate market where rates have inched up over the past few weeks, you know, once again, we can dive into that later on. But right now, Ryan, in your market in Kentucky, I mean, what is the most, I guess, glaring thing that you're seeing that I guess is an impediment to selling? Is that a good way to say that?
Yeah, I think for our particular market, it really just boils down to inventory because, you know, the interest rates are still really good. I know you had mentioned they're inching up, but I mean, they're still inching up and they're still historically low. So,
great point.
So I think what you see is some of the people that are seeing that inching up that maybe was sitting on the sidelines for a minute have decided to get back out there. So between just the volume of buyers, we're coming into the hot season, you know, which we didn't really have a decline here, but really the impediment is just the inventory and the availability of options for these people. Because, you know, in any price point, we may have 1 or 2 for them to look at, and that's if they're lucky.
Wow. Laura, in Atlanta, I mean, how are you seeing the challenges in the Atlanta's home market right now? Laura, I'm going to do the 2020 quote of the year. You're muted. I want to get a t-shirt made like that. You're muted.
There we go.
There you go, Laura.
Good? Okay.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, so very similar market here as well. Lots of demand, not enough inventory. One of the things, the largest challenges that I'm seeing right now is that sellers don't want to let go of their houses because the value is there. So they're seeing that their house is worth it. So why let go of something that's so good, right? But then the other aspect of it is that buyers are continuously offering more than what the house is worth. So that's another issue with appraisals. Okay. So what we're seeing here is that people are offering $20,000, $30,000 over asking. And so pretty much, you know, we're sure when it comes down to appraisal. So these buyers really have to prep to make sure that they can actually cover that difference.
That's such a great point. Gloria, I mean, in LA, I mean, obviously appraised values are nationwide. I mean, pretty uniform now as far as the guidelines go. And with the values that Laura just talked about, I mean, how are you guys dealing with that in LA now?
A lot of these buyers are being super aggressive. I mean, people are removing inspection contingencies and appraisal contingencies, and or they're putting clause in there, I will pay $10,000 or $20,000 over appraised value.
Wow.
And so, I mean, the first time in my career, and I've been doing this for over 20 years, I put an offer on a property that had 60 offers.
60?
60. I saw on Instagram another person in Orange County saying there's 100 offers on one property.
Wow.
And so, and we do have like inventory because I mean, not as much as we should, but it's just the amount of buyers right now that are out there due to, I mean, even though like, you know, someone else said interest rates are rising, it's still the lowest it's ever been. And then I think also with COVID, people want either more space or they want out of their apartment.
Okay.
You know, they want, you know, and so that's a lot of the things that are happening. But I mean, and over here, viewings are like usually, you know, sometimes they're just a day for a few hours and we have 15 minutes to get in and out. If you miss your appointment, you miss your appointment, on to the next. So
Wow.
it's very much like it's 11 to 2 Saturday or Saturday and Sunday from this time to this time. And so it's definitely, it's different. I mean, things slowed down last year, maybe for 2 months, and then it just ramped up and it hasn't stopped. And we haven't seen it slow down at all. It's just becoming more and more competitive as each month goes by.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, you mentioned Instagram, and I want to give Chris this little thing here because I saw Chris on Instagram the other night doing construction on a house. Right, Chris? That was you, right?
Yeah, I that was
So he was actually remodeling a house to put on the market. I'm going to imagine, right? You're not just doing this for your own kicks, right, Chris? You're trying to actually prepare a house for, I guess, whatever you're doing with these houses to
I wish I could say that.
create inventory.
I wish I could say it was to go on the market. It's actually a in-family home. My father is his home. It's a rental property. So we was redoing the floor, but to piggyback on that, was a lot of what's going on. A lot of fix and flips, which is kind of driving the market as well.
And you're in that northeast market of DC, right? Is where I saw your office.
DC,
I mean, I'm not going to regulate you to that, but that quadrant, I mean, just for people who don't know the DC market, there's 4 quadrants, right?
Yeah.
Northeast is one of the 4 quadrants. Historically, it's the one that adjoins PG County, right?
Yes.
And historically, it was always the most, I guess, unfavorable. Is that the right way to say that? Or least favorable, or I don't know how you want to say it, right?
I would say depending on the time or the market conditions, some people would always say, I will always hear that I would want to stay in the district, but couldn't afford the district. So a lot of people would go over the line to Maryland.
But now Northeast is like a hot market.
Yeah, the Deanwood community is very.
Right? I mean, it's like the prices have soared. The market is like amazing. People are, the fix and flip is what was really going on down there, what I've seen.
In this quadrant is a lot of first generation homeowners. So pretty much you have Mr. Johnny that owned the home since 1930 and just never passed through the family. So once the house is available due to certain circumstances, you got a bunch of investors that come in and get their hands on them, do the renovations like you saw me doing, and then just driving the market value through the roof.
Hey, Chris, there was another thing I saw on your Instagram, and this is totally off topic, but you had some Cowboys promotion, Dallas Cowboys promotions on your Instagram, which I took offense to. Now, was that a misread on my part?
Promotion? I don't know if it was promotion. I might have just liked the colors.
Because I mean, I'm a Redskin guy, or Washington football team, I should say. Sorry, I'm out of line.
We have to talk about that off camera.
So, guys, let's go back to Atlanta real quick. How are you guys dealing with the investors coming in to buy up a lot of the markets, right? I mean, that seems to be what Chris just kind of alluded to right there, Laura.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we have investors coming from up north, investors coming from the West Coast. Everybody has money. We have a large, strong Asian community in the area too, that they have tons of cash. The other day I went to a house, there were 97 showings in that day.
Wow.
They already had over 72 offers, and they were all cash. So it's like cash versus cash. I mean, of course, no appraisal, nothing, no contingencies in there. But yeah, people just have money, and everybody wants to fix and flip. Everybody wants to be an investor. So it's very competitive, and it's at the end of the day, it's, who's going to offer the most, and who has the funds to do it.
Ryan, in your area in Ashland, Kentucky, because this is a unique area of the market, right? Out of all the 4 markets, I'm least familiar with it, right? Thanks to our mutual friend Tom Hobbs, I've become very intimately with that market as of recent, right? Prior to that, I know it's in the eastern part of Kentucky now. I know you guys border Ohio and West Virginia, right? I think those are the 3 states. What do you think is driving this lack of inventory, this investor, in such a rural part of Kentucky that, I mean, what you're just started the conversation on with is there's no inventory?
Yeah, part of me thinks it makes zero sense because we don't have, our economy is not like a thriving economy. There's, we've had a lot of employment leave. So, a lot of plants that have closed and things of that nature. But, one of the things that we had this prior year was a huge influx, and it's still occurring now, of people from out of state.
Okay.
And part of that, I believe, is driven, from talking to these people, is once COVID hit, people started working from home more. So now people can work wherever they want to. They can live wherever they want to. Politics drove that, good, bad, or indifferent on any side. It was just, there was some of that. And then just wanting to get into an area that was slowing down, because, Ashland is still in many ways kind of stuck to like maybe the 80s and 90s and that kind of stuff. So that's really the inventory. I think that has gobbled up some homes that may have been available to other people. The interest rates. So, we still have a lot of first-time home buyers that are jumping on. Our market is really heavy government-backed loans. So a lot of FHA, a lot of USDA, which are those people that are just kind of starting out. So it's people that, those rents have started creeping up to, to the point to where they could go out and buy a house, because our average sales price point is 115, I think, or something like that. So it's really low. So it's a spot that a lot of these people can actually, kind of change their life trajectory, versus renting.
Yeah. Gloria, to your point, in California, there seems to be more of an exodus out of California than like where other states are feeling, like Laura was talking about Atlanta.
Yeah, thank you, because I've done that. That California's helped me out a lot.
Well,
are you seeing that? I mean, but you're talking about numbers that are pretty high also, as far as low inventory, kind of a lull, but then back up peaking again. And so we hear this exit out of California?
I mean, there's people that exit California. I'm one of the rare born and raised in California. I'm from LA, wouldn't leave LA. But I mean, you still have those people that are just like me. They're born and raised, or people that have come over here. And one thing that I've gotten a lot of people, and it's the first time I've done this in my career, is people coming from like the East Coast to LA and doing like the virtual, like, here's your home, and then them purchasing it without seeing it.
Wow.
It's the first time I've done that, in my career. And I've done that a few times since COVID, where people have been buying homes without even seeing the property because things are going so fast. But I mean, it hasn't slowed down. I mean, people are leaving, and, I've showed a few homes, people going to Arizona, Texas,
right,
Nevada. Those are usually the 3 states that people migrate to from California. But it hasn't slowed down. People are still buying. Because people are working from home too. So people are going further out to San Bernardino, Riverside, to Kern County, so they're going to different areas, but things are still flying. So it hasn't really slowed down here.
Somebody was telling me that there was like Orlando, Florida was like the #1 destination out of California. Is there any truth to that?
That I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I know a lot of it. I mean, which would make sense is people. I know realtors in Nevada where they get tons of people from California.
Yeah, I was in Phoenix just a few months ago, and I mean, felt like there was a like an enclave of cars coming in from California. And
Yeah, well, we're on lockdown still, so especially LA County, we're barely opening up. You know, where if you hear someone in the background, I'm still homeschooling my daughter, so she's
wow,
here and she's been here for a year, hasn't gone back to school. We're hoping by the middle of March, or next 2 weeks, she'll be back in school, but that's still like part time. So we've been, so people still going to Nevada, Texas, Arizona to kind of feel normal, like,
yeah, yeah.
of being able to go out to eat at a restaurant, to just go walk. I mean, everybody here, we're mandated to wear masks in LA County whenever we just leave our house. So even for a walk or.
Now, is that affecting the way people? I mean, I know you talk about virtual, and you're with eHomes, right? So, I mean, you guys are doing a lot more of the virtual stuff, from what I understand, right?
Yeah, correct. We have a lot more of the Zillow leads, online leads, but you still have people that want to see a home.
Okay.
So what's affected us a lot more is how we're showing homes, meaning most of them are just doing 2 days, or even some agents are doing one night on a Wednesday night from 4 to 7. Make your appointments, and it's 15-minute increments, and you have those 15 minutes. If you're 10 minutes late, you have that 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then out. Like,
wow.
That's how it's been a little bit more, that we don't have open houses. We just have set times now for us to go, and you have to make it work.
Wow. Chris, is it still cheaper to buy than it is to rent?
We'll say yes.
And so if let's say my son, who's 23 coming up on 13, if I said, hey, you should go buy your own house, right? Because it's still cheaper to do that than it is to rent. I mean, what kind of parameters are we talking about? I mean, are we looking at something in DC? Are we looking in Maryland? Are we looking in Southern Virginia, like down in Prince William County?
I mean, it all depends. I know we heard a few agents say, pretty much it's more so cash is king, and whoever has the most liquid is pretty much going to win. But in this market, it depends on the client, and the jurisdiction. Being as though it's like a tri-state, I would call it.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lesser price point where you can get more home, and I would say, particularly Charles County.
Oh yeah.
Maybe about 40-45 minutes outside of the district where everyone wants to reside, versus if you reside and purchase in a district, you're going to be paying maybe about 30% more of that exact home in a more of a congested area, because in the district it's just everybody's over top of everybody. We have $500,000 efficiency condos here.
Right. That is a true point there. Laura, in Atlanta, I noticed that, the nice thing about my job sometimes is I get to travel to all these different cities and see different market trends and different, Atlanta is just really spread out. Like there doesn't seem to be like a true end to, like, okay, Atlanta really ends right here. It just feels like it goes north, it goes west, it goes south.
Yes, Atlanta. I mean, I focus more in Metro Atlanta, but Metro Atlanta covers 20 something counties.
Wow.
So yeah, so it is huge. And Georgia itself is a huge state, so you could go anywhere, but
now, is it difficult to market, or when you're trying to show someone houses? I mean, are they specific? Hey, I want to be in Swanee, or I really want to go to Buckett, which are two different absolute areas, but they're still in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's different style of living and everything. So it's very particular to the buyer where he chooses to be. If they have little ones, if the school districts is the most important, if they just want to be closer to transportation because of where they work. So it all depends. But I mean, there's just so much going on. But luckily, thank God I have a team that
Mhm.
everybody can spread out. And so we have, offices in one county and offices in another county.
Got it.
And that works. That's what's working, because if I was doing everything on my own, I'm a little insane, but not that bad. You have to. This market, it's just, like they were saying, it's very aggressive.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about what I see realtors doing really good. And I've been in the business since 1994. So FYI. So I've been doing mortgages. I know I don't look that old, but seriously, I am.
Good genes.
Good genes, yeah. So one thing that I've always seen realtors do really well is that they know how to brand themselves. You know what I mean? Realtors were always, to me, kind of ahead of the mortgage loan officer when it came to personal branding, like to distinguish yourself. And I know, Laura, you have you're with your company, but you also have like LD team, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that kind of stuff. And I think, Ryan, you have your own like show or something inside of the EXP Realty brand.
Yeah, I've got the group, and then I do a bunch of different things like that. Yeah, so branding's very top of mind.
Ryan, walk me through this. Like, how do you develop your brand? I mean, as a realtor, I mean, what did you do? Like, did they take you through a course, or did you just brainstorm one weekend, one bottle of wine? What happened?
Well, yeah, I had some professional lives prior to getting into real estate. And one of the things that I knew very definitively that I wanted to do was to be very specific in my direction. So I actually spent a pretty good amount of time sitting down and developing what was going to be my brand. What did I want my identity to be? I'm really big on focusing on the why. Why did I want to sell real estate? Why do I want to get up and do this every day? And consistently doing things that flows into that purpose. I think that, for me, it was, do I want to make a lot of money? Yes. But is that what drives me? No, because I don't think that if money strictly drives you, eventually, sometimes that's going to burn you out. But if there's other passions, so I really try to focus, all of my branding, all the efforts that I do over kind of around that specific theme, which is, I really like educating people. I like trying to help people and bring them along in the process. So all of my videos, those kind of things that I do, the podcasts, the things that I do are typically around trying to educate the buyers or the sellers, so that way they can understand the process more, because it's, buying a house is scary for most people. I know we've got people buying sight unseen and all those kind of things, but which is scary for us too. But, I really want to try to make sure that the buyers and the sellers are as comfortable with the process as possible, and try to eliminate and alleviate that stress point.
Chris, what about you? I mean, how did you come up with the brand that I've seen you now on I mean, I did a deep dive on everybody's social media, right? So I got an idea of the brand that you're trying to create. I mean, how did you come up with that brand that you came up with, Chris? It seemed like it would appeal more to a younger crowd, maybe. I could be wrong, but that's what it felt like.
I'm assuming that I'm probably the younger or the newer realtor on the podcast. So majority of my sphere is first-time home buyers. So just a brief, I used to be a truck driver, and I always wanted to assist people with, furthering themselves in life. And I got to the point where, selling sodas is not helping someone create generational wealth.
Right.
So I decided that I wanted to get into real estate, primarily for the monetary, but like Ryan said, just to actually help someone out further along in life. And always wanted to use my name. My name is kind of popular. My last name is kind of popular in the Washington, D.C. area, but I wanted to, make sure that it's known that it's Chris Cummings Homes team. So that's pretty much how I started branding myself. And I also wanted to make sure that I was relatable. Like Ryan said, buying a home could be very scary, and my sphere is first-time buyer. So I always wanted to make sure that I could brand myself to the point where I'm very relatable, approachable, and make sure that I can hand out the information and give the education to make it as smooth as possible. It doesn't always go that way, but make sure that within the transaction that the client and buyer know as much as they can possibly know. So they can sleep easy at night. We can sleep easy at night, knowing that we did a good due diligence.
Yeah. Laura, when you and I were talking, when we were getting ready for the show, I can't remember, it was like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. This has been a blur of a couple of weeks. You talked about how you kind of were doing this part-time, and in the last 2 years, you made that decision, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to create my own team. Obviously, you had to think about branding at that time. Like, how am I going to brand myself to kind of, because look, there's a lot of agents. There's a lot of Spanish-speaking agents. There's a lot of female Spanish-speaking. So, I mean, how do you distinguish yourself? The more we can slice and slice and slice, you still have to stand out among the crowd, right? So
absolutely. Actually, I think I had a head start from just being very relatable and actually working in the community because of my previous businesses. I always worked with the community. So my reputation since I started when I was 18 was primarily like my top-notch priority. If you say my name, that I've either helped you back then in the accounting office or with, as paralegal work, as an interpreter in the federal courts, as in the car dealer business. So I had so many different things that I did, but I always helped people the best way I knew how, and I always put myself in their shoes. If I'm in this process, how would I want somebody to inform me? And, to piggyback off of what they said, it's very, very important to actually be relatable and to understand why the client is thinking this way and be a good listener. That's one of the things. And this is my business, actually, when I decided to do just real estate, because there was just too much going on. I said, well, I naturally like to help people. So why not? I had my license 19 years ago. I got it, but it was just a challenge. It was one of my really good friends. He was a mortgage broker. He's like, Gloria, get your license. I think you'll do great. I said, no, I don't think so. This is not for me. And he said, well, I bet you can't pass the test. And then that was it, because I'm very competitive. And so I went for the test and I came back and I said, see, I got it. And so we did work a little bit, but it wasn't my primary. And then 2.5 years ago, different things happened in my life where I said, this is just too much. The stress levels were extremely high. And I decided to just be really good at one thing. And I picked real estate, so I don't really brand myself or market myself. Everything is referral.
Wow. So Gloria, on this same topic, I mean, when clients are shopping around and they see your name, I mean, I'm guessing you're getting a lot of referrals from Zillow leads, right? Because you guys are a premier realtor for Zillow.
Correct. Yeah.
So how do they distinguish? I mean, how would someone like me say, okay, Gloria is the lady that I want to trust my next purchase with? What would make you stand out like that?
It's a combination of things. It's like if you go on Zillow, we have reviews. If you read those, I mean, most of my clients see, like, I do a lot for my clients. They become personal. And most of them stay my friends. A lot of it has been personal leads, people that I've known for a long time, and friends to friends of friends and family. So a combination of that. I mean, I deal with some investors, everything. I know for me, it's just mostly I wanted to fill in the gaps. And that's when I started at eHomes. And it does, because the thing is that real estate constantly changes. And because of that, a lot of people do go on Zillow and automatically just, click, and then we get connected to them. And that's really the way things are going. People go online, and they just go, like, sometimes they want to go directly to the source or what have you. And so online leads have gained a lot of momentum, especially I think with COVID. People go online and they look and then they click and then boom, you're connected.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way of the future, to a point, like anything with people looking online to see before they purchase. And then once they're ready, they go on and, talk to a realtor.
Yeah, it was interesting. I had the president of FinLocker on my show a few weeks ago. FinLocker is a company that does, they'll prepare, it's kind of like the Credit Karma, but for the mortgage industry. So the client will prepare 12 to 18 months ahead of time to actually make their purchase. And so I asked Brian View, that's his name. I said, Brian, we've been talking about this sunset, right, for mortgage people, right? And I'm sure realtors also, where if you're not on the bandwagon with technology, like you're just not going to survive, right? I said, Brian, are we like 2 years out, 3 years out, 2025? He literally said, Fabi, this is the year. If by the end of this year, you're not on the technology bandwagon, the gap between the haves and the have-nots will be too great the division will be too great. So I really do believe what you're saying, Gloria, is that we are on that border now where technology is more and more enhancing, right?
Yeah.
And to that point, I'm going to go back to Chris for a second. With the social media presence, Chris, how do you, it's weird to say this, at what point do you draw the line between, hey, this is my personal life and this is my business life on social media now?
I really can't say there's a point when I draw the line. It's a day-to-day thing. I have to make sure that I input that I am in real estate and put some content out there just to remind people that, hey, I am a realtor. I'm a trusted realtor. But, again, just to make sure that I'm relatable. The content that I put out about sometimes my personal life keep people engaged to me. And then I just sprinkle a hint of, hey, I'm still a realtor.
That's the secret. See what he's just talking about? A little personal, little hint there, boom, boom. And next thing you know, you got somebody hooked, right?
It definitely is. Make sure that I just put out there, hey, I'm still a real person.
Yeah.
Because the title, I look at it as like you have doctor, lawyer, then realtor.
What about the mortgage loan officer, man? Well, you left us out.
Well,
we like top liver around here. It's stepchild all of a sudden.
Hey, I have a lender and need to get a house.
Laura, I saw on your Facebook page, if I'm not mistaken, you had a personal Facebook page and then you had a business Facebook page, right? So you were actually trying to delineate between people that are in your personal life versus business life. Is that on purpose that you did that?
Yeah, kind of. Because, even though a lot of people in my personal life know what I do, I also want to separate the two. I don't want to just put houses if it's my personal Facebook or something,
Yeah.
So yeah, I do kind of try to.
Also, I noticed Alvin was on both of them. That's a problem. You got to have Alvin pick one of the two, right?
No, I'm just going to unfriend. No, I'm just kidding.
Just unfriend him on your personal site.
Right? I know. He got in there quick.
Ryan, is there a strategy that you're using for social media presence? Or is that something that you even focus on? Because you do have some other stuff that you're doing really well on.
Yeah, no, I am very, very in tune. I have pretty much from the beginning, I knew social and online was going to be my entire platform. I have never ran an ad in a newspaper. I've never done a magazine. I've never done anything except for online because that's where people buy. But I do the same thing to where I have a separate personal page and a Facebook page. And that was definitely a decision. That was a very thoughtful decision because I wanted to separate the two because for one, I didn't want to, I keep my Facebook business page very, very active and very consistent. I do a lot of scheduling and I think that consistency is key. And I didn't want to necessarily have that flooding out to everybody on, my Facebook page, personal page, and to realizing how frequently they change the algorithms for what they're doing on social media. And I understood that, to really get my post and those kind of things seen, if I wanted those seen, I was going to have a business page to where I could be running ads, or if people like the business page, they're going to tend to see it more. Whereas the personal, it's a small volume of people that actually get to see each one of those individual posts. So that's the way that I approached it.
So obviously this is more just for visual, right? For me, but is everybody on Facebook, right? Facebook, yes. Yeah. Raise your hands, right? LinkedIn, right? Instagram, we're all on Instagram. Yeah. Maybe for Ryan. Okay, Ryan says maybe.
I'm on Instagram, but I that was another very conscious decision as well for me personally.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that I did a couple social media platforms really, really well. And the ones that I didn't necessarily buy into personally, like Twitter, I know it's great, I know it's good, but for me, I didn't get how I could put that to use for myself personally without putting a lot of time and effort into understanding the platform.
What about TikTok? Who's on TikTok? Anybody on TikTok? Nobody's on TikTok. Because there's a ton of realtors on TikTok. It's crazy. I go on, Chris, you been on TikTok?
No.
My problem is I go on TikTok, right? And I start watching the videos and like 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh my God, I'm supposed to do something else. Like all these realtors are doing this dancing and it's choreographed. There was this one lady down in South Carolina and her and 6 of her assistants, I guess, were walking the streets of Charleston doing some kind of dance. And it was like, and they're selling real estate like this, right? It was crazy, but it's like, that's what they got to do.
Yeah.
Clubhouse, the newest thing, the newest rage. Has anybody heard of Clubhouse?
Yep.
Ryan, you're
Yes.
shaking your head. Chris, how about you? Have you heard of Clubhouse?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay. Gloria?
Yeah. I'm on it, but I'm not like active on it. I still need to play with it a little bit more.
I've heard mixed
I use it
reviews
pretty
of it.
Mixed reviews of Clubhouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Laura, have you heard of Clubhouse?
I use it a pretty good amount.
You do?
Yes.
So how are you, explain to us, because I am lost. Like I go on Clubhouse and within 8 minutes I want to log out because everyone is like a billionaire. They're like a guru. They have self-discovered their inner child and they want to meditate with the Dalai Lama in the middle of New York City, Times Square or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's all before they're 22. So walk me through this, brother. Please help me out.
Yeah, so the way that I've used it, and the founder of our company for EXP has been fairly active on there as well. So he's been involved in a lot of talks with other billionaires and millionaires. So I've been involved in some of those discussions and talking about that. But then we've also used it in a couple different ways to where we would bring in, with EXP, the way our company are set up is that we're a national company, so it's not a franchise kind of thing, so it's a little bit different. So I'm used to having peers like this kind of situation here, so maybe 8 or 10 of us will jump on there and we'll talk about listings, and I think that's been something that's been very beneficial. Is like, okay, what are you doing there in Atlanta that would blow people's minds here that is just commonplace? So it's been a good think tank to get with people and discuss ideas and things that they're having success with in their market that would potentially translate with a little bit of tweak to who I am in my market. And that's the way that I've used it, because then it's it's good live conversation.
But are you attracting homeowners or home buyers, potential home buyers with Clubhouse, or is it just more of a think tank where everybody can kind of brainstorm different ideas, mastermind even?
I've not used it or uncovered a way to use it for actually getting buyers. Besides, I've met a couple agents in these different things that ended up having somebody and I got a referral, but that was just an ancillary benefit. But for the most part, it's more as almost like a LinkedIn, but a live LinkedIn, to where you're actually talking to people in the particular environment that you're going. But I haven't used it for sales.
I got turned off when I heard this one gentleman in some mortgage room one time, and he said he had opened up 8 offices in 60 days thanks to Clubhouse. And I was like, come on, man, you can't do that. I mean, maybe you hired 8 people. I go with 8 people, but you're going to 8 different markets. I mean, I open up markets all the time, and 60 days is like, if someone's really good, it takes 6 days to open up one market. Like just Ryan, between you and me, Tom, we took like 8 months to convince him to join. That's just one guy and his team, right?
Yeah.
So how are you going to get 8 people in 60 days? So I was like, okay, maybe I'm missing something on Clubhouse, but I'm not sure. So I want to get back to one thing real quick, which is credit guidelines, right? Because in the last year, we've seen the credit guidelines, and I know I'm going more in my arena right now, so hopefully you guys can bear with me. Do you guys, when you guys are pre-qualifying someone, Gloria, are you asking the mortgage person to say, hey, what's the credit score? Is this something that you're going to be able to work with? Or are you just saying, hey, get this guy pre-approved right now for $400,000. I really need to go show my house.
It's a mixture of things. At first, it depends on the client, because some clients already know, when I'm meeting with them for the first time, and some people don't know. But one thing that with the mortgage brokers that I work with, one of the things is it's more than just getting them approved. It's really getting them qualified. So when we put that offer in, we can close it. That's, everybody's end goal. So it's the package deal. It's the making sure that they're well qualified. And if, obviously there's other programs if their credit is bad, granted they're paying a higher mortgage interest rate, but every client is a little bit different. And some people are willing to pay that higher interest rate just to get into a home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the package, making sure that they're qualified, not just like approved.
So, Laura, to you, is there something that on a credit score that would make you nervous, I guess? Or are you open to letting your loan officer kind of guide you?
Of course, I have to let my LO guide me. However, I do want to know what the credit score is. I do want to know what the DTI is, the front and back ratios, and make sure that we're okay, So before I'm going to take anybody out, I'm going to do my due diligence to the T, having the accounting background. It's, I definitely do the numbers beforehand, and then I call my lender to make sure that what they're telling me is right, and say, now run the credit, find out, and we run with the numbers, But yeah, it is important, because then I get to tell them a little more about the programs that they can qualify for too.
Yeah.
So
I heard yesterday, Ryan, a friend of mine at a bank said that they just got a memo saying no more scores below 640. Boom. Like, don't even bring it to us anymore. So, if you're dealing with someone with, say, a 605, is that going to now stop you, or would you go look for somebody that could offer a 605 credit score offering?
Now, one of the things that I do is I have a panel of lenders that I will tend to go to, and I know what they're good at, because every lender is going to tell you, oh, I can do any loan that you bring to me. I can figure it out. I can do this. But the reality of the fact is, people do certain things much better than they do others. Not that they couldn't do the other thing eventually, but
Sure.
So I do ask a lot of questions, find out where the people are at. And then once I send them over to the lender, I trust the lender. I let the lender do their lane, and I try to stay in mine the best I can with the new information that I have. But, because I've got banks that did that, before COVID, as far as the credit scores. So I know where to send those people, and Tom being one of those that, because he's going to run through a wall to try to help somebody figure out a way to get a loan. So having those type of champions in your market, for those people that may be fringe buyers, especially in a market like mine, to where, there's a lot of first time home buyers that, people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So that's part of that education process that we talked about at the very beginning, that I think is really important, to just help them know what they're supposed to do to get over that hurdle.
Yeah. Chris, you're dealing with a lot of first-time home buyers. So, or as you said, you were dealing with a lot of first-time buyers. Are you now, challenged with any of the credit scores that you're seeing, or does it take maybe 90 days or 4 or 5 months to get them to the credit score that they can qualify with?
I wouldn't say no. Lately, I don't know what's been going on, but lately everybody's score has been pretty much relatively good.
You've been sitting at home not being able to spend any money.
Yeah. Get a lot of free time to pay bills and get caught up. So, like everyone said, I pretty much put it in the hand of the LO, and do want to know everything up front, just so we ain't out spinning wheels and get into that crash and burn situation in the back end of the deal. So we definitely want to know where they at, make sure they're pre-qualified versus pre-approved, before we get out, because they can lose interest real fast if they get out there and you're just spinning wheels and showing a bunch of possibilities that can't become reality.
Right. Good point. Guys, we're coming up to the end, and I'm going to ask one last question, so we're just going to do a little rapid fire real quick, because it's really important for my audience, who's basically mortgage people, right? When I first got in the mortgage business, my thing was that I used to always go knock on realtors' doors, And back in those days, you could go into almost any office without anybody stopping you. And As long as you had a box of donuts or bagels or something, they'd all be your buddies, right? It's a little different today, right? It's a little bit more challenging. It's a little bit more, especially with COVID, we're not sitting in people's offices and cubicles, and not everybody can reach out and bring you a box of donuts. I guess the question that I come back to is, or that I want to end with is, what can a loan officer do to get your attention, to give them that one shot? I mean, I'm going to just go start off with Gloria. So Gloria, I mean, I'm just going to start off with you real quick. Is if I'm a new loan officer, my first year in the business, I decided to make a switch, you know what I mean? From car insurance to this is exactly what I did, right? From Allstate Insurance to here. How do I get your attention to give me a shot at one of your deals?
I think for me, I'm a little bit like old school. It's like, just pick up a phone, like not an email, like not a DM or, any of that stuff. It's like, keep it personal. Like real estate is personal. Just pick up a phone and just be like, hi, and like have a conversation, like not be gimmicky or, just kind of be like, hi, my name is, and just keep it just like, I guess more like just a phone call is not bad instead of a text message or an email.
I like that. I like that. Chris, what about you? I mean, you're fairly new to the industry. So if a new loan officer knocks on your door or calls you or texts you, or how do they get your attention?
I would definitely say communication is key and very vital. And again, to relate to my personality, being a little bit more personable. Don't want to get into the situation where you can't reach you in the middle of a transaction and you can't reach the loan officer, and you the face of your client, like, I don't know what's going on. So I would definitely tell the loan officer who's trying to obtain my business, make sure that communication is very vital.
That's cool. Yeah. Ryan, how about you? How do I get your attention today?
Yeah, I would say I am 100% in his camp that would be the quickest way to lose me as a referral is communication. And because it's just so paramount. I think sometimes the loan officers, can lose sight of how much we can actually save or correct an issue. That it may be their issue that needs to be done with the loan, but we can just, we have a different relationship with these buyers. So something coming from us may resonate entirely different than what a loan officer would tell them. And it'd be the same exact information, but they just hear it differently from us. So I think communication throughout the whole process and, being available, because our jobs are not 9 to 5, so that's the reason a lot of times that banks are tough to use, because, if I go out and I'm seeing a first time home buyer, they call me at 6 o'clock and I can get them in a house at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I need them to be pre-approved and at least functioning as a potential good buyer before we go look at that property. I need to be able to get a hold of that lender that will answer the phone and knock that out in 15 or 20 minutes, or at least look and go, hey, this is going to be really good. Or, you might want to pump the brakes a little bit. Let me take a little deeper dive of this and make sure they're going to be good.
Okay, good. Laura, how do I get your attention? I mean, I'm knocking on people's doors. I'm ringing the bell. No one's giving me opportunity to, like, I remember my first 9 months in the mortgage business. It was crazy. I was pulling my hair out. How do I get your attention, Laura?
I have a lot of hair, so this is a good thing. Absolutely. Communication is key. Pick up your phone. Just pick up your phone. And I don't mind the DMs because I know how busy we could be. I mean, right now we're sitting here and I'm still, responding, because if I respond, I'm on top of things. And that's what I expect from a loan officer as well. Just let me know what's going on. Don't go missing on me. And absolutely what Ryan said, sometimes we're working at 6, 7, 8, we're submitting offers 9, 10, 11. I work crazy hours. Maybe sometimes I'm a little bit of a workaholic, but I like to stay on top of things. And I always say, why wait for tomorrow? You could get it done today, because tomorrow you'll have a larger pile of things to get done. And then, I just don't like that. So I pick and choose my lender to be able to work at that pace. And performance. I mean, do what you're telling me you're going to do. At the end of the day, your words, you can sweet talk me all day. You can bring me donuts, whatever, and whatever you want to bring me, of course, it's all welcome. But at the end of the day, your performance is going to speak volumes of who you are and your work ethic. So if you have a really good work ethic, I'm all yours. And, you know, and agents want that. They want that relationship, and they want to be able to rely on somebody, because just like, you know, we're the faces to everything. You guys are not available, or you know, the lending hours end at a certain time. After that, it's on us.
Wow.
And we still have, you know, people still have questions, and we have to answer them the best way that we know how. But if we're informed of what's going on, then yeah, then we can get the process rolling, and we can calm the client down. I always tell my clients, give me your stress. Don't stress about it. Just let me know what's going on, and I'll help you.
Nice.
You know, so absolutely, that's my main thing for a lender.
I would think.
All right, guys. Well, sorry, Ryan, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, I was going to say one other good thing to add there is that, you know, one of the things that you were talking about is how do we get you to send business? Remember, if we do that, then we've put our name out there with the client, and the client's trusted us. So if that delivery is not there, that communication's not there, they're not mad at you. They're coming back to us and saying, why did you tell me to go to this guy? I've called him 10 times and he's never responded. So
yes,
yeah,
that's look bad.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just in closing, I mean, when I had my own mortgage company, I mean, I would get calls from realtors or whatever, right? Say, I can't get hold of this, and I'd bring the loan officer to my room, put the speaker on, say, now you can talk to him right now. And the loan officer would hate me to do that, but I said, you're not going to ruin the reputation of my company just because you don't want to talk to and give bad news. Get it over with. Whatever it is, let's talk about it. Let's hash it out. You know what I mean? If there's a solution there, if there's not, there's not. You know what I mean? But let's not ruin the brand, because the brand is what it is. And
all communication is good communication.
Yeah.
Great point, Chris.
Rather the outcome.
All right. Well, listen, we have run out of time here. I took up way more time than I imagined I was going to. I appreciate all your all's cooperation with this show today and giving us your insight. I wish you all much success in your all's market. And with that, have a great day, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Laugh, Lend and Eat, the podcast. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, First Option Mortgage and One Good One Staffing Services. We have enjoyed all the comments we have been receiving. Please keep them coming. To be notified of any updates, please be sure to subscribe to Laugh, Lend and Eat on the listening platform of your choice. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.